So how to make sure that whatever frames are being transmitted from the sender, they should be delivered at the receiver in a proper sequence and without errors. So that is the main task of the data link layer. So whatever protocols are being used, those protocols at the receiver will verify so whether the received information is having any errors or not. For that, whatever mechanism is used at the sender side, so that information is being included the trailer part of the frame. Then after receiving, the receiver will use the same error checking mechanism to verify whether the received information is having any errors or not. So after verification, if the received information is not having any errors, everything received is correct, entire frame is received correctly, then receiver will send a feedback, that is a positive acknowledgement. So the moment the sender receives the positive acknowledgement from the receiver, then the sender will send the next frame. Suppose at the receiver side, the information received or frame received is having any errors. If a frame received is having any errors, then receiver will send a negative acknowledgement. Means whatever information is received is not correct. Some errors are there. So the moment sender gets the negative acknowledgement, then sender will retransmit the same frame again. So this is how generally the error controlling is being done at source and destination systems. Suppose whatever information is being transmitted at the sender side, if that frame is not arrived at the destination, that means the frame is completely vanished somewhere in the communication path. In that case, receiver will not able to receive any frame. So receiver will not going to react about this. He will not send any acknowledgement, neither positive nor negative, because the frame is completely vanished somewhere else. So in that case, how the sender knows whether receiver has received or not? So sender has to wait for some time, expecting the feedback, either positive or negative acknowledgements, but not going to get any. So how long the sender has to wait for the acknowledgement? To decide that, so sender will use a timer. Then how much time to be set in the timer? So what sender does is, he will set the timer. After sending the frame, sender will set the timer. Timer will be turned on. Then timer keep on decrementing. So before the timer gets 0 or before the timer gets expired, the receiver has to send the acknowledgement and sender has to receive the acknowledgement from the receiver. If that happens before the timer expires, no problem. Even after timer expires, if the sender doesn't receive anything, then sender will think that the information sent or frame sent is lost somewhere, so he's going to retransmit. Same frame will be transmitted again. But how the sender knows how much time to be set in the time? So generally, every sender will set the timer with just above the round trip time. So the round trip time means the moment sender sends the frame, the amount of time taken by the frame to reach from sender to the receiver and again back from receiver to the sender is called a round trip time. That means the frame travel time from the sender to the receiver plus the acknowledgement travel time from receiver to the sender. That is called round trip time. So this plus processing time for the acknowledgement at the receiver. So this is what the time period set in the timer by the sender. So that is little above the round trip time. Now after sending, if the timer expires before getting the acknowledgement, automatically the sender will retransmit the information or frame again. So that is what is going to happen if a frame is completely vanished. Now, suppose the sender has sent the frame, but the frame has arrived at the receiver and receiver verified that frame is okay and receiver has sent the acknowledgement, but now acknowledgement is lost somewhere. Acknowledgement is lost somewhere. Then automatically timer gets expired. So the sender will send this frame again. Same frame will be transmitted again. That means now receiver is receiving the same frame twice. Second time also is received. So if this is the case, this receiver is getting the frame, same frame second time also. Probably if the receiver doesn't know that it is a duplicate, same thing will be handed over to the network layer. So unnecessary network layer is going to receive the same thing second time. So this sending the duplicates to the network layer should be stopped. So for that, one way is to use these sequence numbers and acknowledgement numbers. That is, if sender and receiver are using the sequence numbers, then say, for example, sender will send, say, frame number 1. Frame number 1 arrives at the receiver. The receiver is sending the acknowledgement 1, but acknowledgement 1 is lost. So timer expired. Sender is sending again the frame 1. Now this time the moment receiver receives frame 1, now with this help of the sequence number, receiver will identify that this is a duplicate because already frame 1 has received, processed and handed over to the network layer, sent the acknowledgement. But again, sender is sending the same frame again means receiver will understand that maybe the acknowledgement of the receiver has not arrived at sender's place. That is why sender might have sent again same frame. That is why the receiver has received the duplicate. So this is how the sender and receiver will identify the duplicates and duplicates here will be filtered. So the moment now sender is sending this frame again second time, say frame 1 second time, and receiver has received the frame 1 second time, but receiver will identify that it is a duplicate. You will understand that acknowledgement is lost somewhere. That is why sender has sent the frame again. By thinking in this, so the receiver will send the acknowledgement again, but the duplicate frame is discarded. It is being discarded, but it is going to be acknowledged because sender has to know. Now this time it has received. Otherwise, if receiver is not responding to that with acknowledgement, again timer expires. Sender will send again the same frame third time or fourth time, likewise. So multiple times the sender may be sending the same frame. That should be avoided. So for that reason, though receiver is receiving the frame second time, that will be acknowledged, but the frame will be discarded. It is not being forwarded to the network layer. So this is how the error controlling is being done. So the main function of this data link layer is it has to be received, transmitted properly in the sequence, received in a sequence, and at any point of time, any frame should be received only once. If any duplicates are there, the duplicates are to be discarded. This is the main task of the data link layer. So that is what the mechanism is used to identify the errors, and after identifying the errors, so rectifying the errors by retransmissions. Any duplicates will be identified with the help of sequence numbers and acknowledgement numbers. to control the errors. That is the error controlling mechanism. We will see different methods for controlling of the error, identifying the errors. Later, we'll discuss different methods, how the errors can be identified. Okay, once identified, sending the acknowledgement positive or negative. So that is what we have already discovered now. We have already discussed.